A new, short physical education teacher came to a private school. The thin young man did not inspire respect in himself from the students. The students had learned they would have a new PE teacher and immediately began mocking the teacher behind his back. They wondered what a frail guy could even teach them. But the ridicule stopped after the first lesson. Alex Dennis took off his shirt, revealing his muscular arms. Even though he appeared frail, he was well built under his clothes. The girls even whistled when they saw the muscles under the PE teacher's t-shirt. Compared to the old teacher, Alex seemed like a boy and looked weak. Though he was over 40, his small stature made him look younger, which was a major disadvantage as it caused students to treat him with disdain, even after he showed what he was capable of. The school was mainly attended by children of wealthy parents, and many felt like kings of life. It was difficult to discipline the teachers who had to behave very loudly. This group of kids was controlled by one teenager, Vince, who was in 8th grade. Vince was taller than his peers and so pumped up that he wanted to spit. He controlled things how he wanted. This is how it should be done, and the rest of the school children fought around such an authority. But not everything was so bad. Vince was not a total hooligan, otherwise he would have been kicked out of school, but he dared everyone to dislike Alex Dennis's physical education lessons because other subjects were not so easy for him, and he also did karate. The boy copied from his old teacher, as Alex found out. Vince often arranged competitions with the previous PE teacher and always came out stronger than his new frail-looking teacher. Vince immediately confronted Alex Dennis. The last straw was a caustic phrase Vince threw at the next lesson. The teacher started the lesson, and then Vince told him, "Apparently, you don't get paid enough for doing push-ups here because your mother has to earn money on the side, but I doubt that she will like the clients. Judging by the way she dresses, cheap." Alex was dumbfounded, covered in cold sweat. He was such a puppy. The man reacted dismissively to the comments about the mother. He looked at the student, pursing his lips, and restrained himself from responding sharply. His reputation was important to him, and Vince's remark was clearly a provocation. But this teenager had been harboring a grudge against him for a long time. He didn't like that the teacher wiped his nose and embarrassed him in front of the whole school. That's where it all started, a couple of months ago, when Alex gave an assignment but didn't complete the exercises himself to set an example. Vince also commented mockingly, "Even our janitor Steve is capable of more." Alex Dennis answered, "My task is to get you used to sports so you don't all sit around on your phones all day doing nothing, otherwise everything atrophies." Vince said arrogantly, "Excuse me, so as not to embarrass myself." And so it went on in every lesson. If they simply crossed paths at school, the student would look disdainfully at the teacher, but the remarks would be ignored. Even conversely, Vince would say it was his parents who paid the money for his time at the school. Alex said it was necessary to take into account that students now know their rights, but in the end, he got tired of Vince's impudence. Children should respect adults. Otherwise, they will grow up to cause problems. He wasn't going to scold Vince because you won't achieve anything that way. Not being very good at diplomacy either, the teacher decided to deal with the student through force and in front of the others, so this would be a lesson for them. In the next lesson, when Vince began throwing his caustic jokes again, Alex invited the student to prove his superiority. Vince, after some confusion, perked up as he was sure he would win. The push-up count began. After a while, the student realized he had underestimated the teacher as Alex cheerfully continued, practically losing rhythm. Vince was already breathing heavily and doing push-ups noticeably slower than the PE teacher. It was also difficult because he was unaccustomed to it. but he pushed on. The task was not only to do more push-ups, but also to show it wasn't difficult. As a result, at the count of 51, Vince fell to the floor and his opponent reached 70 and said that was enough for today. But now the lesson could begin. Alex jumped up cheerfully and smiled. Vince got angry. He didn't expect the new PE teacher to seem so efficient. Not wanting to lose face, he mockingly stated that push-ups mean nothing on such short legs as the PE teacher had. He definitely wouldn't run far. Alex accepted this challenge as well. He organized a short-distance race with Vince. The teenager came in second, but still looked arrogantly at the teacher. Classmates suggested he try himself in other competitions. The guys laughed, and Vince didn't want to embarrass himself even more. But if he refused now, it would be even worse. So they continued, and the PE teacher showed the best results in all areas, in pull-ups, jumps, and even in arm wrestling. The thin but muscular hand of the teacher quite quickly put Vince's hand on the table. His authority dropped a little, and he harbored a grudge against the teacher. The teacher kept thinking about how to take revenge on him. This time, he encroached on the sacred by insulting his mother. Alex realized this had to end. These were not harmless jokes at all. If the guys were not put in their place, what kind of person would they grow up to be? The teacher did not understand what Vince was talking about at first, but then realized he could have seen him in the store. The student looked triumphantly, thinking he had broken the teacher. It would have been a shame. He would have now shown the photo to everyone and teased the teacher like that. But Alex unexpectedly said, the man's anger changed as if by hand. "My mother died a long time ago," he said sadly. "But nevertheless, I will not allow such offensive phrases directed at any mother. I respect every woman because I see a mother in everyone. No matter how pathetic and arrogant she is, she first and foremost raised her child. She gave him life. And for this, you need to thank the woman. They give everyone a start in life." Vince winced and opened his mouth to quarrel with insults, but he had gone too far. Vince had taken the photo to show everyone, but it had already lost its relevance. He saw his teacher at the shopping center walking arm in arm with an elderly woman. In fact, she wasn't that old, but was dressed so ridiculously and had such provocative makeup that the sight of her made him sick. Vince heard part of a conversation where she boasted about some lover. Later, the guy realized this was some kind of role-playing. The teacher listened to the woman, gave gifts, and called this woman, in disguise, Mum. "You probably saw me with Elaine," Alex suggested. "She is really a mother. She raised an excellent son who unfortunately died young instead of attending physical education lessons." Alex told his students about his friend, the only son of his parents. After the death of his friend, his father couldn't survive the news and also died. His mother, having lost 2 loved ones, moved to another reality. The man couldn't leave his mother to a friend in need. He helps her. She considers him her son, and he doesn't want to disappoint her. Elaine is now like a harmless child. She needs special care and attention. He could allow her to be taken to a special institution, but his conscience doesn't allow it. "For me, this woman is first and foremost a mother," he repeated. Vince said nothing more, but after the lesson, when no one was looking, the teenager approached the teacher and apologized. "I'm not sorry for your friend," Vince said, "but I didn't mean it. I agree. All mothers should be respected." Alex understood the boy needed to talk to someone, as a child couldn't be so impudent without reason. The teacher understood it was a family matter, but didn't expect Vince's mother would have problems. Behind the prosperous, rich life, Vince pretends to be a cool kid, but the worst thing for him is that he never received love from his father. His father finds himself a wife and gives her his attention instead. Vince hates his father's new wife, and she doesn't love him either. Alex listened to the guy, then asked him what the manifestation was of not loving the stepmother. She offends him. "I just filled the empty space for her," Vince said. Or maybe they are not taking any peaceful steps, asking him to teach. If he behaves with her the same way as with his classmates, then it is clear she will not have tender feelings for him. Vince hung his head and admitted he had done a lot of bad things when his father started dating this aunt. He hoped that she would not stand it and leave, but his father threatened him with a cadet school or some other closed educational institution where there will be rigor and no entertainment. The son lost interest in his stepmother. He still hated her, and her name was as if he was grinning or everyone was Dennis. And then she's all kind of impolite. It turns out that there's nothing to love you for. The conversation with the teacher for the first time turned out to be tense. Vince felt guilty, thought about his behavior, and after some time, the guy caught his teacher again. His eyes sparkled. He said that his relationship with his stepmother had improved. "You know, she is a good aunt." The teenager and the garden were smiling. "Now we are all now others." Alex shook his head. "Well, let him. There will be an aunt. The main thing is that everything works out." "Thank you." Vince still extended his hand to the physical education teacher. Sometimes, to torment a person, you need not force, but words. If you enjoyed the story, put a thumbs up and listen to the next story.